They say the map never lies. But the truth is, it doesn't always tell the full story. Beneath the lines we draw, borders inked by power, oceans carved by myth, and cities etched into memory, lies a world far more complex, more mysterious, and more shocking than we've ever been taught. Welcome to Map Locked, the channel where geography isn't just about capitals and continents. It's a code, a cipher of power, a language of secrets written in coastlines, islands, mountains, and sometimes in the places that don't even exist anymore. Today, you're not just learning 30 facts about geography, you're stepping into a deeper understanding of the planet we live on. We'll explore anomalies that defy logic, like how Alaska exists in both the East and West at the same time. We'll enter ancient geological timelines that reverse the Amazon River's direction. And we'll expose cartographic illusions that have misled generations, all while asking one chilling question: who decides what gets shown on the map and what gets left off it? They say the Earth is constant, that mountains stand still, oceans stay blue, and borders never move. But that's a lie cartographers once believed, and explorers used to exploit. Because underneath our feet, the planet breathes. And when it breathes, it shifts. In this chapter of Map Locked, we open the atlas to the raw forces of geology. Number 1. Alaska, where East meets West, literally. What if I told you a single US state exists in both the Eastern and Western hemispheres at the same time? It's not a paradox, it's Alaska. Stretching like a claw toward the Russian Far East, Alaska's Aleutian Islands bend across the 180th meridian, the very line that splits time itself. Amatignac Island lies to the west, but Semisopochnoi Island, with its volcanic ridges and seabird colonies, technically lies to the east. That means Alaska is the westernmost and the easternmost state in America. It also means it's one of the only places on Earth where tomorrow and yesterday are just a few miles apart. The international dateline was forced to zigzag around these volcanic specks just to keep them on the same calendar day. But ask yourself, why do we bend time to fit a map? Number 2, the Philippines. An island, inside an island, inside an island. Layers within layers. That's what makes Luzon, Philippines, home to one of the strangest natural structures on Earth. It starts with Lake Taal. Inside that, a volcano. Inside that, a crater lake. And within that lake lies Vulcan Point, a tiny island. Forged over 140,000 years by tectonic fury and volcanic ash, this strange geographic nesting doll still simmers today. The 1911 eruption reshaped the land. Ongoing rumblings since the 1990s remind visitors that beneath this beauty, magma sleeps. But one question lingers: how many layers does a map miss before it becomes a myth? Number 3. Mauna Kea, taller than Everest, if you dare measure it right. We've been taught that Everest is Earth's tallest peak, but there's another giant rising silently from the sea: Mauna Kea. Its summit soars 13,796 feet above sea level. But plunge beneath the Pacific, and you'll find its true base. From seafloor to summit, Mauna Kea stretches 33,500 feet, dwarfing Everest by over 4,000 feet. Dormant for 4,600 years, this shield volcano is sacred to native Hawaiians and revered by astronomers alike. Its peak, above 40% of Earth's atmosphere, offers one of the clearest views of the universe. But what lies beneath the ocean, we rarely honor on maps. If greatness lies hidden, who decides what gets measured and what doesn't? Number 4. Mount Chimborazo. Closer to the moon than Everest. Standing on Mount Everest might feel like the top of the world. But to be physically closest to space, you'd need to climb a mountain most have never heard of. Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador. Because of Earth's equatorial bulge, Chimborazo's peak, though just 20,548 feet tall, is the farthest point from Earth's core and the closest to the moon. The planet we live on is not a perfect sphere. It bulges outward at the equator, warping the very definition of high. From the Andes to the stars, this one summit shifts our cosmic orientation. Maybe being high isn't about altitude, it's about perspective. Number 5. Iceland, the island that's always growing. Beneath Iceland, the Earth is stretching itself apart. Right through Thingvellir National Park, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge pulls two tectonic plates away from each other, the North American and Eurasian plates. Magma fills the gap. New land forms. Iceland is literally growing by 2 centimeters a year. Dive into Silfra's Rift and you'll swim between continents. Walk across Almanakja's fissures, and you're stepping across 2 ancient worlds. And yet the country thrives, embracing its violent geology with geothermal energy and volcano tourism. But don't be fooled by its serenity. Even the most peaceful landscapes can hide a battlefield beneath. Number 6. The Pacific Ocean is shrinking. It's the biggest ocean on Earth, and it's getting smaller. Slowly, relentlessly, invisibly. The Pacific shrinks by 2 to 3 centimeters per year, pulled into the jaws of subduction zones around the Ring of Fire. While new crust forms elsewhere, the Pacific is being consumed, crushed into trenches, melted into magma. One day, millions of years from now, the Pacific might be gone altogether. What replaces it? We don't know. But for now, it's a sobering reminder. Nothing on the map is permanent, not even the oceans. Number 7. The Dead Sea, dying in real time. The lowest place on Earth isn't just low, it's sinking, drying, collapsing. The Dead Sea, at 430 meters below sea level, shrinks by over a meter per year. Rivers diverted, minerals extracted, and sinkholes now plague its shores. It's so salty, you can float effortlessly. But beneath the surface, a crisis brews. Entire resorts have been swallowed. Roads vanish overnight. What happens when a sea dies? Before our eyes? Efforts like the Red Dead Canal project aim to save it. But at a $10 billion price tag, and with massive ecological risks, it remains a gamble. Some losses can't be reversed, only remembered. Number 8. The Sahara was once a lush green jungle. Picture the Sahara now. Erase the sand. Replace it with lakes, rivers, and hippos. 6,000 years ago, during the African humid period, the Sahara was a green paradise. Rainfall drenched the land. Civilizations bloomed. But Earth shifted, climate changed, and the sands returned. Fossils, cave paintings, and ancient riverbeds whisper the truth. The Sahara we see today is a ghost of a rainforest. It's a warning from the past, and a mirror of our future. Number 9. Antarctica, gaining ice, while losing it. Strange but true. Antarctica is both gaining ice in the east and melting catastrophically in the west. Snowfall increases mass on one side, but ice shelves collapse into the sea on the other, bleeding 150 billion tons of ice each year. The paradox confuses many, but it's real. This isn't contradiction, it's climate complexity. And while satellites measure these shifts from orbit, rising seas will measure them in flooded streets and vanished shorelines. Antarctica doesn't have to melt all at once. It just has to melt faster than it freezes. Number 10. The Amazon is being erased, 1 hectare at a time. The lungs of the planet are coughing. The Amazon rainforest, sprawling across 9 nations, loses over 11,000 square kilometers annually. Logging, mining, agriculture, fire. It stores 150 billion tons of carbon, and its destruction accelerates climate chaos across the globe. Indigenous communities defend it. Activists risk their lives for it. But still, it burns. When a map turns green to gray, the whole world inhales the smoke. The world is not as solid as it seems. Mountains rise in silence. Seas retreat in whispers. Forests disappear without goodbye. And yet the map remains the same. In Chapter 2 of Map Locked, we turn from Earth's bones to the scars left by human hands. Geography isn't finished. It's just paused. Until someone dares to unlock it again. The planet breathes through more than mountains and oceans. It breathes through us, through cities rising from nothing, through cultures rooted in landscapes that forget nothing. In this chapter, we journey through places where human hands meet nature's ancient bones, and neither walk away unchanged. Number 11. The Nile, the river that binds nations and divides them. Before borders, before language, there was the Nile, a 650-kilometer ribbon of life, weaving through 11 nations, feeding fields, powering cities, and carrying the weight of 400 million lives. From the Ethiopian highlands to Egypt's thirsty delta, the Nile doesn't just flow, it negotiates. Dams like the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam hold back not just water, but tension, political, historical, existential. Ethiopia calls it progress, Egypt calls it threat. And yet the river flows like it has for thousands of years. But for how much longer will the water be enough for everyone? Number 12. Bangladesh, a nation that floats to survive. The delta is fertile, but it floods like a warning. Bangladesh is a country of 170 million, and 80% of them live at the mercy of water. Monsoons drown entire villages, sea levels rise. Each year, millions pack up and flee the water's edge, only to return again. But this isn't defeat, it's adaptation. Floating farms, bamboo embankments, rooftop gardens that rise with the flood. The rest of the world watches the waves. Here, they dance with them. Number 13. Mongolia, where the wind still whispers to nomads. Endless steppe, sky that never ends, silence that hums. For 200,000 Mongolian herders, this is not wilderness. It's home, a land with no fences, a way of life older than most countries. But modernity creeps in, cities grow, the Gobi expands, desertification chokes the grass. Yet they ride on, migrating with seasons, tending to their herds, resisting erasure. In the age of smart cities and digital dreams, is freedom still found in the open land? Number 14. Vatican City, the world's smallest powerhouse. 0.44 square kilometers. One language. Less than 1,000 residents. And yet, global influence that echoes across continents. Vatican City isn't just a microstate, it's a microcosm of soft power. From Michelangelo's brushstrokes in the Sistine Chapel to papal diplomacy that moves nations, this sovereign speck commands awe. Inside its walls, empires confess. Outside, billions listen. How can a country smaller than a shopping mall shape the conscience of the world? Number 15. The Alps. Mountains that cry. The Alps have stood as Europe's spine for eons, but now they're bleeding. Since the 1850s, 1 to 2% of their glaciers vanish every year. Meltwater feeds 50 million people. But as glaciers shrink, rivers fade. Hikers notice shorter snow seasons. Farmers face drier springs. Scientists scramble with drones and satellite eyes. It's more than tourism. It's the faucet to half of Europe. What happens when the roof of a continent starts to leak? Number 16. Tokyo, Yokohama, the machine that never sleeps. 38 million souls. One metro region. A city that breathes in data and exhales innovation. Tokyo, Yokohama is more than a megacity. It's Earth's most populated urban organism. Trains glide with surgical precision. Vending machines serve octopus at midnight. Towering over fault lines, it prepares daily for the big one, but never pauses. From Shinjuku to Shibuya, every block hums with quiet power. But can even the most advanced city outrun age, or the next quake? Number 17, the Trans-Siberian, where tracks stretch through time. From Moscow stone to Vladivostok sea, 9,289 kilometers of steel and grit. The Trans-Siberian Railway is the longest continuous railway on Earth. But it's more than logistics. Built through blizzards and revolutions, it links time zones and tales. On board, languages shift, climates morph, perspectives deepen. It's a moving atlas of Eurasia. And in a world divided, maybe the answer is a track that never ends. Number 18. The Great Barrier Reef, a giant in peril. It glows beneath the waves, a necklace of coral stretching 2,300 kilometers. The Great Barrier Reef cradles 25% of all marine species. Its reefs visible from space, its colors a celebration of biodiversity. But the colors are fading. Bleaching events in 2016, 2020, and again, turn beauty into ghost. Warming seas, acidic tides, human hands. Indigenous guardians replant coral nurseries. Scientists dive for answers. But when the world's largest living structure begins to die, who will feel it first? Number 19. Congo Basin. The forest at the edge of collapse. Deep in Central Africa, beneath a green canopy, breathes Earth's second lung. The Congo Basin spans 3.7 million square kilometers, but each year, 2.2 million hectares disappear. Chainsaws echo through trees older than kingdoms. Roads slice through elephant paths. But the forest fights back. Through indigenous knowledge, satellite mapping, and global funding like the Congo Basin Forest Partnership. If we lose this forest, the map loses more than color. It loses air. Number 20. The Arctic. Melting at the speed of silence. They call it the canary in the climate coal mine. Arctic sea ice shrinks 12.2% every decade. In 2025, it hit a new low, 14.33 million square kilometers, the smallest winter max ever recorded. Inuit elders remember deeper snow. Polar bears swim longer. Satellites blink at emptier ice fields. Scientists say we may see an ice-free summer by 2030. But the Arctic doesn't shout. It just fades, quietly, until we notice the tides rising in Miami or the fires in Greece. In every shadow of our cities, forests, deserts, and deltas, the Earth reflects us back. But the reflection is cracked, tilted, and the choices we make now redraw the maps of tomorrow. In Chapter 3, we explore the geopolitical illusions, border paradoxes, and truths hidden in plain sight. Because geography isn't just where things are, it's what they mean, when we dare to look closer. 21. Papua New Guinea, where words become walls. Imagine a land where every valley speaks a different tongue. Papua New Guinea, a patchwork of over 840 languages, isolated by mountains, rivers, and time itself. That's over 10% of the world's linguistic DNA held within one nation. Some, like Enga, boast hundreds of thousands of speakers. Others, whispered by just a handful, fading fast under the weight of urbanization and globalized media. Yet, in village schools and through UNESCO-backed programs, elders and linguists battle back. One syllable at a time. Because when a language dies, a worldview disappears with it. 22nd, Suez Canal, the world's narrowest bottleneck, just 193 kilometers long. But this sliver of Egypt moves 12% of the entire planet's trade. The Suez Canal is a man-made artery, a shortcut that shaves off 6,000 nautical miles from the long way around Africa. In 2021, a single ship blocked it, and the world lost $9.6 billion a day. Since then, engineers race to widen it. Governments debate its future, and satellite eyes never blink, because one narrow waterway can unhinge the gears of global commerce. 23. OPEC, the cartel beneath your commute. Oil doesn't just fuel cars, it fuels power, political, economic, existential. OPEC since 1960 has steered the planet's energy flow, controlling 80% of global reserves. In 1973, it quadrupled prices overnight. In 2020, a price war crashed markets. In 2025, it's balancing collapse and control as renewables rise. Inside boardrooms in Vienna, they whisper numbers that ripple across gas stations, wars, and economies. The next boom, or bust, could be decided by a quota change. 24. Silicon Valley, the brain of the modern world. It began in a dusty Palo Alto garage. Today, it commands 40% of all U.S. venture capital. Silicon Valley, the birthplace of Apple, Google, and your digital addiction. But beyond innovation lies inequality, sky-high rent, AI ethics dilemmas, and a generation questioning the soul of tech. Engineers build empires here, but philosophers are beginning to ask, just because we can, should we? 25th, Pompeii, where time stood still in ash. August 24th, 79 CE, a city froze mid-sentence. Pompeii was buried under 6 meters of volcanic ash, preserving streets, bakeries, even bodies in mid-run. Rediscovered in 1748, it became an archaeological mirror, showing us not just how they lived, but how they died. And with 3 million people living near Mount Vesuvius today, the question hangs in the air. Could it happen again? 26. The Silk Road, threads of empire and enlightenment before airplanes, before passports. There was a road that stitched continents together. The Silk Road wasn't one path. It was 4,000 miles of caravan routes, stretching from China's mountains to Rome's gates. Silk traveled east. Ideas like Buddhism, algebra, and paper traveled west. In its echoes, China now builds the Belt and Road Initiative, a 21st century remake of empire. Because whoever builds the roads, builds the rules. 27th. Africa's colonial borders. Lines drawn in a room of strangers. In 1884, European powers gathered in Berlin. Maps were unrolled. Lines were drawn. And Africa, with its 3,000 cultures and 1,000 languages, was split like a pie with no regard for the people. 177 ethnic groups divided. Enemies boxed in, resources fractured. Today, those borders still bleed, fueling conflicts from Rwanda to Sudan. What happens when a continent's map wasn't drawn by its people? 28th. Galapagos, the petri dish of evolution. 620 miles off Ecuador's coast, volcanic islands rise from the Pacific. The Galapagos Islands, home to marine iguanas, flightless cormorants, and tortoises that saw Darwin before you did. But 270,000 tourists a year and rising sea temperatures threaten this evolutionary laboratory. Scientists now breed 9,000 tortoises, trying to keep balance in a world tipping fast. This isn't just where evolution was discovered. It's where extinction can be prevented. 29. Dubai's islands, building paradise from sand and sinking slowly. Palm Jumeirah, a man-made palm-shaped island stretching into the Gulf. A marvel or a warning? Since 2007, Dubai added 78 kilometers of coastline, but parts now sink 5 millimeters per year. Coral reefs, 94% gone. Migrant workers, underpaid and overworked. The World Islands, another project, are eroding before completion. What's the price of prestige when nature is the receipt? The Himalayas, Asia's melting water towers. Rising like a spine through Asia, the Himalayas store the water for 1.9 billion people. But glaciers are melting, faster than science predicted. By 2050, rivers like the Ganges, Indus, and Brahmaputra may dry seasonally. India, China, Nepal, Pakistan, enemies and allies, all depend on the same source. Farmers build reservoirs, hydrologists pray for snow, and geopolitics gets colder, even as the ice melts. We began with landscapes, but we end with lifescapes, a world tangled in consequence and complexity. These aren't just facts, they're clues. Clues to a planet unraveling, clues to who we are. As you trace your finger across the globe, remember, the map is never the territory, and what's hidden is often what matters most. As the map stretches forward into 2025 and beyond, we find ourselves at a crossroads. We are stewards, not spectators. And the weight of this world's marvels and crises rests in our hands. So what do? We explore, but with purpose. We travel, but tread lightly. We study, not to dominate, but to understand. We act, not later but now. Because every island, river, and mountain you've heard is more than a location. It's a lesson, a warning, a chance. And when you next look at a globe, don't just see borders, see stories, see struggle, see wonder. Because here on Maplocked, we don't just show you what's there, we show you what's been hidden.